Kia ora, Coach Brad here, and I'm here to shed some light on stretches and exercises that positively affect your feet. The foot is a marvel of human engineering. It has to be mobile for shock absorption capacity in one split second, then in the next, rigid for force transfer and propulsion. To achieve this magnificent switch, small joint movements have to occur at just the right time. If you don't dynamically warm up your foot, the force conductor for your running power, you risk injury and decreased performance. As always, before doing any hard run training, make sure you have proper fitting shoes that fit your feet snugly, and if needed, grab some insoles. I personally have a large number of shoes for different occasions, and I find that our sponsor Superfeet's Adapt Run series allow my foot to maintain its natural motion, while giving me a better pad to land on for my more strenuous sessions. Now this is how I like to get warmed up for every run. It's really important to make sure the joints above the foot, especially the hip, are working really well and mobilized. So I start with some hip swings, so that's forward and back for maybe 10 times each side, and then hip swings side to side, again around 10 times. And then the thoracic spine, making sure you're nice and supple around that thoracic spine, moving from side to side. And last of all, really getting those ankles mobilized, so with some dynamic stretching to get the foot and ankle ready to go. After your run, you really want to work on some nice static stretching to help with your recovery. So I'm going to go through a round 4 with some really nice modifications to work on those toe stretches and feet. So let's start. So first of all, the basic calf. So long calf, gastroc, make sure your foot's nice and straight, spread the toes, and then come forward, hold for between 15 and 20 seconds, 2 to 4 times. And then you can progress this to the soleus, the short calf, so just bring the foot forward, bend the knee over those toes, heel on the ground, hold for again 15 to 20 seconds times 2 to 4. Now to work the hamstring, it's a really nice idea to work on down dog, which is a bit of a yoga move. So spread the fingers with the hands and then come on down and then try and walk your feet forward and try to place those heels on the ground. And it's going to really stretch out those hamstrings and calves. And then, if you'd like to, you can actually then start to mobilize the feet and ankles a little bit. And that helps really put a little bit more emphasis on the stretch around the foot. Next, hip flexor. Really important muscle to stretch out. We do spend most of our days sitting. This muscle gets shortened, so really important to stretch out after your run. So this position, and then you want to just tuck your tailbone in so you can really feel the emphasis of the stretch at the front of the hip, and then hold that for around 15 or 20 seconds. Now, a modification to really work on some toe stretches is to then make sure that their toes are tucked under on that rear foot, and then just come up off the ground, and you're going to get a really nice added stretch on the toes on that rear foot. And just try and hold that for around 15 to 20 seconds. The last stretch is the quad. Now with this stretch you can really work on your isometric balance at the same time. So with the stance foot, make sure your toes are nice and spread, and then bend that knee and then come on up into that traditional quad stretch. So you're working on your balance here while you're actually working on that quad stretch, and then hold that position for again 15 or 20 seconds times 2 to 4. Now, the other great thing about this quad stretch is you can also work on stretching that tib ant around the front of the shin. So with the quad stretch, make sure that you do hold that foot near the toes, and then you can use your other hand just to bring it in a little bit more into plantar flexion, and it's going to stretch the front of the shin, the tib ant, as well as the quadricep muscle. Let's go over some core exercises. We need a strong core to deliver power effectively to our feet. So let's go over some of my favorite exercises. Let's start with the front plank. So you can hold this for anywhere between 15 and 60 seconds depending on your capacity. So front plank position, make sure your elbows are underneath your shoulders, your toes are tucked under, squeeze your glutes and quads, and make sure that you're nice, straight. Now the progression from there, if you want to modify this and make it a little bit tougher, is to move those elbows forward of the shoulders. That puts a little bit more stress on the core and makes it a little bit more difficult. You can also come up into a push-up position and then come back down again. Again, that makes it a little bit more difficult. Now from there, you can transition over to the side plank, really working on those muscles on the side, the obliques, the glute med. They will help stabilize you during that stance impact phase for your foot. The stronger and more stable up here, the less energy leakage down there, and the better your foot can perform. So holding this, again, 15 to 30 seconds. If you want to progress it, make it a little bit tougher, you can throw in some hip dips, and you can also do some rotations through. So I like to do a front plank to start with, then move on to side plank each side, and then maybe rotate through that 2 to 4 times. If you have got a strong core, your feet are gonna thank you for it. Your feet are the end point of your impact and power production. You must ensure that upstream, everything is flexible and strong to allow them to work at their optimum. If you neglect these exercises, you're gonna let your feet down.